Let's go. So, hello guys, welcome to Chesspoint. Today we discuss the best opening games of chess with the Scotch game openings and its variation. So let's start. So first of all, the Scotch game is centuries old, where e4 opening for white and one of the best alternative to the Rilo is. Uh, Good opening for the beginners. The Scotch is also an excellent weapon for the players of every strength level. One of its most prominent adopter was GM Gary Kasparov. Other elite players like GM Vladimir Kramnik, Levin Aronian, and Magnus Carlsen also have the Scotch as a part of their arsenal. So next we see the starting position of Scotch games. So first of all, the Scotch game begins after the moves of here. So first move is e4, and the second move black plays with e5, knight f3, knight c6, and here comes d4 for white. So white strikes on the center immediately, forcing black to give up their central e5 pawn. With this move, white virtually guarantees a space advantage. They also avoid the heavy theory of Ruy Lopez, so which is especially advantageous for the beginners. So here the various types of not much but few variation of a Scotch game does not have such much theory as e4 opening like the Ruy Lopez. So however, it's still good idea for players to familiarize themselves with its most popular variation before playing it. So first variation we see Schmidt variation. The Schmidt variation was played by most of the player, but main GM Anatoly Karpov main option against this Scotch game. So first it occurs after the move of e4 e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, what the Scotch game started position, and here comes with the e cut d4. And next move we see knight knight cut d4, where white plays, and after this black moves his knight to knight f6, and here comes the variations, four moves what schematic variation said. From here the game can take positional or tactical depending on the moves the player choose. In this line, Kasparov introduced the idea of exchanging knights on c6 and following it up with the e4 e5 push, creating an imbalance and bridge position. So we continue what the next move here. So next move we cut knight c6, and here b cut c6, e pawn push to e5, and here the positions of chances is much equal. What Karpov say that this is a positional or a tactical depending on the moves of the player choose. After this, queen e7, queen e2, knight d5. Here comes with the c4, bishop a6. Connect the pawn with b3. Here comes various moves like 000 and g6. So we do g6, and there white opens his what the said here is bishop b2 for attacking king side, and then bishop b7 by black, where again knight so previously we see the move of Schmidt variation uh, of Scotch game. So next we see the variation of classical variation. The classical variation starts after the move of e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and d4, and again e cut d4, and knight cut d4. And here black changes the move of uh, bishop c5. So this is the classical variation of Scotch game. Here the black immediately puts pressure on white's central knight, forcing their opponent to invest a tempo to either protect the knight or add another defender to it. So let's continue here with what the next move comes here is knight cut c6 or bishop e3. So we take with bishop c3, sorry, bishop e3, and here black plays queen f6, c3. Slowly, black and white develops his pieces with knight ge7, bishop c4, and here the double zero is good move for black, and white also plays the double move, and white castling and black both castling. There's uh, white castle. So castling, and this position is just like again position of positional game of Scotch game, but the chances of winning of white and black is not more, but this is maybe positional equal, and in the middle game you change the this position. So we get see another variation of this opening Scotch game, and this is Scotch Gambit. So the Scotch Gambit happens after the moves of e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, and again e cut d4, and here comes with bishop c4 by white. So bishop c4 by white, white ignores the black pawn on d4 to focus on the developments, and players who want to try this line must be tactically sharp and prepared to the focus on activity rather than the material to be successfully. So this opening is also good for the beginners and amateurs. So we continues here what the position we gained after this starting position. So here the move comes with knight f6, double zero or double zero, good move. So castling there, knight cut e4, rook e1, here comes d5, bishop cut d5, queen cut d5, knight cut sorry knight so this opening is good, and after this opening we can say this position also a good position for both side, but if in middle game you can change this position. So next we see the again a different variation of a Scotch game, which name says Goring Gambit. So the Goring Gambit is an aggressive option for white in the Scotch Gambit. After the move of e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, and again e cut d4. Here comes with c3. White sacrifices his pawn again. So c3 is that move which white gambits a pawn to quickly develop the b1 knight. White can even offer a second pawn with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e cut d4, c3, and black cut c3 pawn with d cut c3, and here comes again sacrificed by white pawn with the bishop c4. Black had a chance to cut b2 pawn, and b2 pawn cut bishop cut b2, and you see this white position. White attacking the king side of black, but here the chances chances of losses of white is more before we play those variations, because you loses 2 pawns in opening. If you not get back their pawns or positional advantage in the middle game, you get to lose their games. Entering double pawn sacrifice variation, accepting the second pawn is extremely dangerous for black. White would develop yet another piece and seriously attacking the opportunity of against the black king. So we have next variation is Malaniuk Variation. Malaniuk Variation is just like e4, e5, knight f3, d4. Sorry, knight c6, d4, and here comes with e cut d4, knight cut d4. And black changes their move with knight f6, not played, but bishop b4 check. Here the black checks the white king to provide the c2 and c3 push, since the alternative of knight c3 is not ideal for white. Because if you push c3, bishop goes back, and there's the chances of knight with develop with here, but the best square of knight. So the best square of white knight is the c3 pawn robs the b1 knight, best developing square, making the white pieces full and active development too harder to achieve. So we see the various variations of Scotch games, but what you play the variations. So best scoring lines for white the Scotch game is a sound way for white to play, but e4 and e5 opening and avoid the heavy theory of Ruy Lopez. Below you can see the best scoring variation for the white in the Scotch game. So first when we see the Schmidt variation, here the comes with the fifth move introduced by the Kasparov in this match on the 1990, where the defended title against the Kasparov helped to popular the Scotch again. As explained before, white plays e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and here comes with the d4 for the starting position of a Scotch, and again he cut d4, knight cut d4 and knight f6. So knight f6 and knight cut c6. So this is the in this opening variation we can say many players plays, but the white pushes the e pawn. The resulting position leads to the sharp game with white winning 36% of games, drawing the 33% and losing chances is 31% in this opening variation. So this opening is good for the beginners and amateurs both. And other move is classical variation. Where if the black goes for the classical variation, white should respond with the e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e cut d4, knight cut d4, and bishop c5. And here comes with the knight c6. So this opening is also good for the both side, and white chances here is more than black, where the white wins 37% of games in this position, draw 38% and loses chances 25%. After the knight capture, black can go for the b cut c6 or an intermezzo variation with the queen f6. So both of which are fine for white. And next is Goring Gambit. If you are an attacking player who does not mind playing down in material, the Goring Gambit can be an exciting option for you. After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e cut d4. And d4, e cut d4, and here comes with the c3. So what we previously see, c3 is an attacking gambit for Scotch opening, where the white wins the 44% of games, draws 26% and loses 32%, a lot not common in master level play. This variation scores very well among the club players. So this variation is also good, and best scoring lines for the black in Scotch games are when the facing Scotch, black must the d pawn on the third move. After that, black has a few realize option to choose from. Below you can see the best scoring lines for the black. First is Malaniuk variation, what we see where knight cut d4 chances where black plays with bishop b4 check, and this is opening is good for the black also for because here the black wins 34% of game, draws 32%, loses 34%, and this line is even more successfully for amateurs with the black outscoring white. And here comes with the Scotch Gambit, where black declined with the Dubois rate defense. If white goes for the Scotch Gambit, black most successfully is Dubois Réti defense, which occurs after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e cut d4, and bishop c4 and knight f6. So this is the opening for black, where the black wins 37% in this line and draws 31% and loses 33%, outscoring the amateur success in the various winning more often. So this is the variation what we play in Scotch opening. So if you try in your games, and first of all we say that if your opening is good but in middle game it's not good, you lose the game. So opening is good but middle game is also good for your game. So next time we see the another best opening for you. So goodbye.